stupid trends or the dictates of the weekly music press or things like that. And so people just make a record, it's allowed to develop on its own, and they put it out themselves, and that's it. We don't need to deal with any of that crap.
I think the history of music in Glasgow, Lanarkshire, surrounding areas, it's self-perpetuating, that if your heroes or whatever your musical heroes live 10 miles away, 5 miles away or round the corner, then you think, well, what's to stop me actually doing it, you know? You just need to be slightly organised and have an absolute belief in what you do.
Hello, Chemical Underground. Yeah.
What's going to be the crack with guest list at it? We need as many as possible. It's just I spoke to Stuart and Paul there, and together they filled 20, I think. So it's just, you know, a Glasgow gig. Paul and Stuart met Emma. We were in a band that we felt was good enough to release records. We decided that rather than get another kind of job, we'd rather do something that we were all really quite passionate about and have a label that we could kind of be proud of. We just liked music, and we always had this idea that if you had a job where you released records by bands that you like, it was a good thing to do. And I suppose it's also like it postpones what we saw at the time as getting a proper job. So we started our own label. I think the reason that Chemical Underground is good is from an A&R point of view, because we pick up on strong music and good music, and a lot of what we do pick up on is quite unique. You know, bands like Cha Cha Cone, Arab Strap, Delgados, Magoo, Suckle, Radar Brothers, and a new band we've just signed called Aerogram.
A lot of labels make the mistake of saying, oh, we'll start up this label, and then their friends come along and say, can you release this record? And it's not that good, but because they're friends, they end up doing it. And I think that that's one thing that we've always been conscious of.
I mean, there's disadvantages as well. I mean, there is no music industry in Glasgow; it doesn't exist. And to be in London, in some respects, would be a lot easier for things like meetings, and you know, like that's where the distribution company's based. That's where so much of the media is based. So it makes it a lot easier. But I mean, I don't want to live in London because it's a fucking shithole. It really is a stinking place to live, and most of the people I've met there are total dicks.
At times it seems I will not help, but it's just that I must save myself from fear that blankets like mist on an optimist who insists it's a simple things that crush, and I'm crying far too much, so much so that I'm thinking my control on life is shrinking. There's a light on in my head, and I'm thinking what I said. All the breathe in my brain. I'm alright now. I'm just thinking what to say.
The band is the most important thing, but the label is very, very, very important as well, obviously. When we started, the only obvious things that we had to do were actually manufacture the record in the first place, and to do that we needed to have the artwork done. So that was a really, really big part of it for me, and having the record in your hand the day we got it back, the very first record, the first 7-inch, that was a really exciting time. And I was working for another company at the time, and I took my lunch hour off and went home to have a look at the 7-inches, and it was really exciting. It's always good to see it, the completed package, in your hand, ready to put on the shelves. Because there's a lot of work that goes into artwork. I mean, there really is. Especially with Arab Strap, they are extremely careful and precise with what they do, Aidan in particular. And he goes to great lengths to make sure that everything about a record sleeve is right, absolutely right. So it's quite good to work with someone like that because they know what they want and they get a lot of pleasure from it when it's right. So.
If I could always be 18, you could always be 8. We draw monsters on you. I'll keep you too late. 'Cause getting served and paused, it's not always cracked up to be. I dreamt you were we again. I'm stretched out, pining for me. Come here so I can help you. Tie your brand new tie. Brush your comb and remember, no one laughs if you cry.
There's a folk, there's a heart, there's a folk heart to a lot of that music, and a lot of folk music is very melancholic, is very sad. It's very, but there's a warmth. It's a I think there's a compassion in the music. There's a real warmth as well, and I think it comes from several things. I think growing up in Glasgow, Glasgow's a very working class town. All the musicians I knew really came from very working class families. There was always an example. There was always something to inspire you that you could do it as well. And then people of every generation, people have just kept that tradition going. And it's Glasgow, it's really ingrained. There's really something about that. Something like Arab Strap would be very easy for some label to take and market in a very one-dimensional kind of way, you know, mad, drunken Scots guys going crazy. I mean, I'm sure some stupid label could do that, you know, and that's something they need to be wary of. And so You know, there was always the chance that they were going to get burned, and good, I'm glad they're back at Chemical Underground. I'm sure that's a place of much greater freedom for them.
Yeah, about me ankles as well, and my ribs. We all make mistakes. We thought I think it was an experiment, I suppose. And we learned that you should never leave what you know and trust. And it was a disaster from start to finish, our relationship with Gobi, but I'm happy to say it's well in the past. I don't think they realised how much of a hands-on approach we took to everything. With the first two albums, we spent a lot of time at even things like advertising campaigns, and it's something we all like to get involved in. But I don't think they're used to bands having an opinion about anything other than the record. I think they weren't really prepared to take us on board. Am I supposed to walk you home? When you're at least 50 feet ahead? You walked off in a hole, and I'm that past, but I can't remember. What was I saying? And I don't doubt you wouldn't touch him now, but you always used to go for that kind. And if you ever really wanted two men at once, all I'm saying is I better be one of the guys you've got in mind. Here we go, same time, same place. I don't like the way you kissed me. That's
The first gig I ever saw was the Pastels and the Vaselines, and I think it was like the 18th of April 1987. And at this time, people just seemed to be going crazy for the Pastels, and it was almost like having our very own Velvet Underground in Glasgow. They really felt that important and seminal. And I remember going along, and up until that point, I was just your average kind of geeky kid who was kind of into heavy metal and things like this, and gradually I started to pick up a lot of the fanzines that were happening around Glasgow that were documenting this kind of music, and I read some interviews with the Pastels, and they had this whole ethos that it didn't matter if you could play your instrument, it wasn't important at all, and the scene seemed very open, and it was very easy to get involved. So when I went to see this concert with the Pastels and the Vaselines, and I can remember Stephen breaking the strings and the drums falling apart, but just the sheer energy and the total belief behind it was totally inspiring, you know.
Music's like going through school in a way. You know, you want to keep your freshness. You always need to learn new things because so many people that make music just repeat themselves over and over, and that's why so many groups' first record's their best. I more or less had the idea for the Pastels when I was at school and the name of the group. The peak periods of the first lineup just really lasted about a year, that we just developed something. And then it took us 4 or 5 years after that the group stripped down just to myself and Aggie and Katrina joined, and then I think we made a couple of singles that were really good, Through Your Heart. I feel like a European, but I also, you know, I like living in this part of Europe. And there are things about our culture I do like, and there are connections between the music that we all make. A lot of the people here like certain drones. A lot of the music's got drones in it, quite, you know, and that's that's from Mogwai to Jesus and Mary Chain, the Pastels, and maybe, although we all probably hate most Scottish folk music, I think something may be ingrained in us. Everyone has their own drones and their own kind of.
What is a drone?
It's when you when you play a set of cards, but you keep like one finger you would be you would just leave that. You wouldn't move that. You kind of play all the cards, but you leave kind of one finger, so you've got like a dominant note that's in all the cards, and it's kind of colour. I'm involved in a record label now called Geographic that represents some other Glasgow music. I don't feel at this point that I need to, be involved in a project that issues a record every 3 months or something. I would rather do something that's smaller but just really, really good, that I feel really proud of. People have a sense things maybe happen a little slower sometimes than with groups based in London, but I think actually if a group like Belle Sebastian were a bunch of Londoners, they'd actually be quite terrible, and it's a special balance that a group like that have between kind of quite childlike expression in a way, but the kind of that kind of magical kind of childlike thing, but there's also they've got quite a tough core also, which I think most of the groups here have actually. Yeah. That Belle and Sebastian will influence a lot of groups, and I could probably guarantee now that every one of those groups will be terrible.
answers that you may reasonably require.
I've always really loved like pop music, even like when I was wee, and like Blondie used to be on Top of the Pops and things, or my granny used to like sing Boney M to me and stuff, and I'd be kind of jigging around. But my dad would be driving a car and go, "Who's that? Who's that?" And my dad's not a very kind of talkative kind of guy or anything, so the only thing that really impressed him was if there was a pop band on the radio and if I knew who it was. So I was quite into getting attention, so I'd be like, "Oh, what's the Police?" or something like that, or Fleetwood Mac or something. So I just got really, really into it, you know, the Beatles and everything. And it's really sad, but being female and stuff, I just thought, you know, I'd go into guitar shops and they'd kind of just look at you, you know, and if I go in to get a lead and they go, do you want a pink one and stuff? And I just didn't think I really could, because I was classically trained. Like, I played cello and piano, and I just, like, the only people I really knew that made music were men, and they were kind of arrogant and kind of, you know, technical and stuff like that. I didn't think I could. And then I heard the Pastels, and I loved it. I mean, I loved what they were, the sounds of what they were doing, but I also realised, all right, so you can just kind of like, you know, you can just kind of have a go, you know, like you can just kind of see what you can come up with. You don't have to like be playing like Deep Purple riffs or like, you know, Black Sabbath or something like that.
When I was a boy, I was confounded by you. Now I'm still a boy, I am indebted to you. Every song I ever wrote was written for you, written for you. Now I'm feeling flat, you seem a mile away. I'm so tired that down on the pavement I'll lay, till the blossom of the tree comes falling on me, fall on me. From my window I can see the mountain and snow. From my window I will shut my eyes and let go. Promise me you'll always be around when I fall and when I call.
It was the end of '95, and I met Stuart, and then we kind of swapped phone numbers, and, you know, he would come up to the university and we'd play together, and then, you know, he'd obviously met the other people as well, and we all kind of played around, and then I just kind of met a lot like-minded people in Belle Sebastian.
Do you want a hand with that?
And we recorded Tiger Milk here in a week. It was just like really, really good fun, and I think it wasn't really until the launch party in here that kind of thought, oh, there's lots of people here. Oh, this is a bit scary and stuff. And then the second album, I was kind of thinking, oh, this is a bit serious.
Is it wicked not to care when they say that you're mistaken, thinking hopes there's lots of dreams that aren't there? Is it wicked not to care when you've wasted many hours talking endlessly
I really admire Belle Sebastian in the way that they have no interest. It's kind of what I was talking about, having no interest in the London media and press at all. They don't care. They treat it with the contempt that it absolutely deserves, and yet they've been so successful on their own terms, which I think is great. And they always make me think of that film I was talking to you about, the Bill Forsyth film Gregory's Girl. They make me just think what a fun and exciting experience it is to grow up in the west of Scotland and falling in love and living in a flat in the West End and seeing all the sort of freaks in the music scene here. And they've just created this fantastic mythos about the west of Scotland, and I just like, they're such a weird looking raggle-taggle gang of freaks as well. I just think they look really cool.
It's just that we're not going to be like rock monsters or anything, you know. It's as simple as that, and it's not to kind of upset anyone or anything. It's just kind of, you know, we even though people might think we're, you know, just being really lazy and not working, we're working really hard all the time. It's just it's just whatever seems right at a particular time we will do, kind of thing.
Sushil doesn't drink much, but he seems to be permanently drunk, permanently high. He can get himself so excited that he almost gets himself into a drunken state, and he still has the enthusiasm of a little kid. He has been important, and the whole idea of collaboration in Glasgow has been very important, and Sushil's taken that to its full nth degree, and that virtually every musician I know have played on a Future Pilot record.
Welcome to the Future Pilot School of Learning, and today's class we'd like to talk about the alphabet. We'll give you the letter B, and B is for bass, and T is for tuning, which we will talk about later on. B is also, as I said, the foundation of all great music, but B is also for Bhangra, or correctly pronounced Bhangra, and we usually say Chakade. And that's
Bhangra
what
is music for
Bhangra is actually Punjabi folk music, commonly sung during the harvest festivals of India, but it's been popularised now and is kind of a mutant pop hybrid, quite often consisting of Jamaican ragga beats, but still, I guess, the heavy dole drum, dolak or tabla beats. So B is also for Bhangra. I'd like to I would say I'd like to capture the energy of Bhangra and the attitude of it, but I don't necessarily experiment, you know, literally in that genre. I like to think the music I'm doing is modern folk music, although it might be, you know, treated with electronic processes or whatnot. There's a real link, I think, between Scottish folk music and Indian and Eastern folk music, and there's a lot of similar instruments that have drone qualities. This is one of my favourite instruments. This is an Indian harmonium. To me, this kind of sums up the point of my new LP. Because to me that sounds Scottish, it sounds Persian, it sounds Indian. So, because it's got a drone quality to it, you know. So I actually didn't use this instrument on the record, but it's just the energy, the feeling I get from it.
Can you explain to us what droning is?
This is a drone here, and it provides a foundation to the song. But I've played bass guitar in lots of groups. Played in the Soup Dragons, played with the BMX Bandits, Telstar Ponies, done some remixes, some other collaboration work, but right now I'm focusing on Future Pilot AK, which is my main area of interest. There's that sense of independence, freedom, just that willingness to be even slightly selfish. You know, that's what music's, you know, or art is about. The creator must be happy. So we're going to talk about the letter
C.
And C is for
collaboration.
And the collaborative spirit. Without this spirit, future Pilot AK would simply not exist and would be artistically almost redundant. So I'd like to acknowledge the input that the crew and musicians give me continuously, and I feed from that energy. C is for collaboration. And
who did you collaborate with on your
on this LP? A lot of my favourite players from Glasgow. There's the Pastels, there's some of Teenage Fan Club, Belle Sebastian, the Delgados. A lot of them are friends I've met through my travels or playing music throughout the years. Very small, crude thing, but that's a work in progress.
The bass thing was your part, or?
Yeah, I mean this is all my part, the drums and the bass and soft guitar. So, this is.
What were you doing?
I was just having fun. I was making a comment on the history of DJing there. I think I was really doing. I think what's on this? I think this is a white label of my album. This. With this LP, I have been hugely successful purely on a personal level, you know, and even on a, you know, people who played in it. That's my definition of success, ultimately.
Under is the ocean, I am one with thee. Once a tiny wave and now a mighty sea, and under I'm one with thee. Rima is the ocean, Rima is the ocean, I am one with thee. Once a tiny wave and now a mighty sea, Rima, I'm one with thee.
I hate the kind of stereotype of Glasgow, like it was all shipyards and miners and all this kind of and all urban misery, because of course it wasn't. I think Stephen Pastel once described it to me as sort of an inspiring mix of countryside beauty and urban scum. A lot of the people who make the music aren't like your average kind of wannabe rock star. There are a lot of real fragile types making music, and the good thing about music in Glasgow is it gives these people a platform, and I just think that the music is true to themselves, the type of people they are. It can often be very fragile and very softly spoken.
Don't get much boasting in Scottish music. It's never kind of like hip hop, which is a music I really like. Don't really get much of those kind of qualities in Scottish. It's never kind of like hey, check me out, you know, I got my money. But we're not a bunch of Forrest Gumps, you know.
Baba, I'm one with thee. Ship is the ocean, ship is the ocean, I am one with thee. Once a tiny wave and now a mighty sea. A J-ship and one with thee.
Very informal. I think her baby might be awake by now.